Well, lucky you guys, you get some early captaincy chat here. Captaincy roulette is going to be in full force over the next few weeks. And if you're someone that's not sitting there with Nicho Hynes this week, he's obviously going to be the clear captaincy option. Then there are a multitude of other guys to look at. I've got about a dozen here to discuss. And you do need to think about your captaincy, not just solely for this week, but also for the next few weeks. Because if you do have Nicho Hynes, he's going to be out next week with the bye. If you're not holding on to Cleary, and let's just say he doesn't come back next week, which I think is about a 10 to 15% chance that he plays next week before their bye, much smarter with a long season to play him after that. And it does sound like Cleary last year, this is the same thing he did before he actually tore his hamstring, the grade 2. He had like a grade 1. And surely they don't push him back early for that before a bye, considering what happened last time he pushed it and went a little bit early on that hamstring. So with Nicho and also Cleary being out, our two top dogs are gone. Our third top dog in Payne Haas is gone. That leaves you with the next best option, the best clear option of Isaiah Yeo. At 903k, it's actually wild how good of a price he ends up at. But he's an incredible player, and we know what he can provide, especially in what looks to be a closer game this week. I do expect Isaiah to get anywhere in the 60 to 70 mark. So a guy that's going to be playing 80 minutes in this one, unless it's a blowout, which I very much doubt that it will be, he'll be in between that 60 to 70 range very, very easily. But as I said, outside of those, Nicho, Cleary, Haas, and Yeo, they're the four best scorers. And then from there, it is a little bit of a lottery because you could get anywhere between a high 40s, a mid 40s, all the way up until 60s and 70s with a multitude of these options. And some are a little bit safer. Some are a little bit more crazy and a little bit more out there in the risk it category. We might be looking at captaining a wing fullback or a center as well this week. So pretty full on. And as I said, just make sure you are looking ahead over the next few weeks, because are you going to look at bringing in a guy that you can captain over the next 3 or 4 weeks? Are you looking to just bring in someone, get some value, and maybe you are playing a bit of captaincy roulette, which is not usually advised because captaincy roulette not often works. It's definitely less than a 50% chance that it seems to work. You only ever hear of the horror stories. You don't hear too many of the guys, I captained Ponga this week and he got 90. Yay. Like you see random ones of those, but most of the time when we captain a wing fullback or something like that, it doesn't go so well. But when it does, it's obviously pretty amazing. So yeah, are you looking to captain a mid? Are you looking to captain a hooker? Are you looking to captain an edge or a half, right? Our four sort of more comfortable, safer positions, or are you looking to go for a little bit more of an out there pick, which we will discuss here. So yeah, think about the next few weeks and what you want to do. And obviously in here, here we go. Anyone else has got the captaincy on Lockie Galvin right now? Because I do. After trading Cleary out, Galvin's sitting there with the captaincy. So good on you, Lockie. Anyone got the balls to captain Lockie? He's a half. It's one of the safer positions. He got 60 last week. I know everyone will be pretty happy with a 60. Eels don't have Moses. Unlikely to have Bryce Cartwright. Maybe it's the play. If anyone has the balls to do it, let me know in the comments. I do think he'll be able to score fairly well. Has terrific base, obviously not missing any tackles there, making 22 a game. Offloads the footy, running the footy, kicking a little bit more last week as well. So there is some merit to captain Galvin, but make sure you do get him in your side. And we'll speak further in the buy, hold, risk, it, sell. Matty's going to jump back on that one. I'll do my quick version of that as well, but I just wanted to chuck Lockie Galvin in there because he's currently got the C on him in my name there. I'll speak about Paddy Carrigan as a good buy this week, but I think he's one of the better captaincy options at 773. It's a little bit more expensive, so it might be harder to get him in and actually have some cash in the bank as well. We'll speak about that as well, as about just having a little bit of a plan over the next few weeks. If you've seen in the last few videos, go back and check out my round results video as well, just as a bit of a plan that I'm looking at with the squad and what I'm doing there, and potentials. Obviously that's was before some of the news of players being out, but it's still all relevant and what I'm looking to do over the next few weeks and get things sorted. But Paddy, a terrific captaincy option just because of the safety. You very much imagine against the Cows this week, against Melbourne next week, that he'll be playing 80 minutes or close to it. And you see here when he does get close to that 80 minutes, the first one's on an edge, so we don't look at that. but 57 in 75 minutes against the Bunnies when they beat them by 10. And then you've got the Panthers last week where he picked up 66 with no missed tackles. So you're looking at him in the middle, somewhere between that 0 to 3 or 4 missed tackles, making plenty, offloading the footy. Maybe the odd tackle break would be nice. He hasn't got one of those yet. And 160 plus on the run meter side. So expect him to get anywhere near those types of scores, and a very safe captaincy at that for Paddy Carrigan. Tohu Harris, again, if you own him or you're looking to buy him, he's a terrific captaincy option as well. Obviously, the HIA cooked him in round 2 with 4 missed tackles as well, it happens sometimes, but it's not a very regular occurrence for Tohu. So 66 and 63, the other 2 scores for the year. He's fairly safe as a captaincy option, and we know that majority of occasions when he does play 80 minutes, he gets over 60 or high 50s. So that's where the safety comes for there of Tohu. Happy Coruscant, I want to throw him in as a little bit of a schmoky, a little bit of an interesting one. Obviously, didn't get the full amount of minutes last week, but he did have gastro. So do see in that first game he played 80. Expect that if he's fit and firing, he'll play 80 again this coming week, and he'll probably need to against Para, given it will be likely a closer game for him. And yeah, he's definitely a really, really solid captaincy option, given he has the goal kicking. If they can kind of be in this clash, make it fairly close, he can get some type of attacking stats like he has. That's what he needs on a week-to-week basis as well. He could be obviously a bit of a smoky kind of captaincy option for your sides. And he's actually owned by a decent amount of people now. So yeah, well done to anyone who grabbed him or started with him. He's begun really well, and he could, as I said, get up into those territories of high 50s to 70, as you see there, as a bit more of a risky captaincy option. Jamal Fogarty, he becomes one of the safer captaincy options this week for those that do own him. 56, 58, and 62. And good to see there that obviously it wasn't many goals last game, only the 1 for him. Tackle numbers were up a little bit, which was nice, obviously in a closer type of game. Kicking the footy, 747 metres there, and for the most part, having a very limited amount of negatives, which is great. So did have the line break to cover for the goals that he didn't pick up last week. And if they can come out and play like they did last week, I do think they beat the Sharks, who are a little bit down on forwards as well. So Fogg's a really good captaincy option this week, and definitely one if I trade him in, I'll be looking at for sure. Dylan Brown's an interesting one. He has some really cool stats without Moses, and the easiest way to do that, guys, is to filter here. Given Moses is out right now, so you click without. These are all the games he's played without. So a bunch in 2020, a bunch in 2021, 3 last year, a 41, a 77, a 61, but a nice average over 60 for Dillbags without Moses. He hasn't started very well though, and that's the main issue there. 44, 31, and 35. So if you are looking to trade him in, doesn't come without risk. Yes, he'll get more kick meters, but if things stay the same tackle numbers wise, which the way that things are playing in the games that he's playing, it's very attacking flow, and tackle numbers aren't there as much. His meters gained are there, so he's definitely a risky one. But up against the Tigers, if they can play really well, then he could definitely be a captaincy option as well. Tom Trbojevic, 670k. He is the risky captain option of the week that has the most boom potential. Granted, he's been fairly consistent this year, 54, 45, and 46. If things can go right this week for him, he can actually pick up a few tries, potentially a couple of try assists, maybe get big tackle break numbers to go along with his good run meters. He could go massive if they smash the Dragons here, and could be a 70, 80, 90s type of player. He could also be a 45 or 50. And that's something you need to weigh up as well. Is the upside good enough for you this week? I definitely think it's probably worth it if you are down, to maybe like 16 or 15 this week, and you're like, well, I would like to kind of try and make up some points this week with a bit of a floor in the 40s. Not too bad. Like if it does happen to get a 40 odd and everyone else's captain gets 58 to 60, you only lose a little bit out on it. But if he does go bang, it could be 80, 90, and you make up for all the issues that your team's got right now. Terrell May. People asking me if he's still a buy. Well, I have him as a captaincy option this week, so I definitely think that you would fall too far behind the pack. It looks like he's fine. He only played 52 minutes last week. Could be a couple extra with Lindsay Collins out. He could be the 55 to 60 guy. And if that's the case, he didn't have to do a lot of tackling last week, given the game was a little bit, a bit of a blowout, obviously, at 48 to 6. So this game against the Panthers, I expect to be much closer. He'll have to make a few more tackles. Probably stick to where he is about the 1 or 2, 3 tackle breaks and an offload or 2. But we'll see how he goes against Panthers. But hopefully that base is a little bit up. And I expect anywhere between 50 to 60 from Terrell, and a fairly safe captaincy option at that as well. It's funny to think of a guy that was 490k to come out and be a good captaincy option, but it's there. Johnson. All right, so he's got a 60 and a 59 with a 26 in there as well. This game against the Knights, I do expect to be fairly close for them, potentially with them winning. The main issue here is if he goal kicks or not. And Luke Metcalf has the last couple of weeks. He also had 6 missed tackles last week. So if Johnson can fix that, last year he didn't miss a lot of tackles and he started with a fair few. So maybe that's to do with him, he's the small injury he's carrying. But if he can drop that missed tackle number, then he can get back into the mid 60s and do some good things at the moment, given his run meters are still there apart from last week. Kick meters are still up. Made a lot of tackles at 25, but he's only had the 1 try assist in this year and 2 goals. So he could definitely peak above that and is fairly safe at that. All right, another one of your risky guys. Anyone that has Val Holmes is looking at him. He has a 67 and 88 in 2 of the 3 games. He only has 1 try. This week he comes up against Broncos though, so I do see it as a very big risk considering the Broncos could come out and put a bit of a score on the Cows this week. Next week might be the play with the Titans. So yeah, if you do own him, that's probably the worry this week, but you could play a bit of roulette and pick him up next week there. For that one, Cam Murray, obviously, very high on the list as well. The only issue here is that he's carrying that bit of a knee niggle, and it obviously, flared up a little bit at training the other day. If he is fine, is playing big minutes somewhere around that 70 mark, which we see here, then he should be closer to that 60 mark. But there is a little bit of a worry that depending how things go, I think if they get a bit of a lead on him, hopefully he does score a try or something like that, but he could come off early. So I do see him as a solid option this week. Probably me being an owner, I'm not super excited to do it just for that knee sort of niggle issue and the minutes risk, but definitely a solid one to pick. Hopgood, if you own him, he's a terrific option as a captaincy this week. Obviously has the boom upside with that 78. He has the 48 and the 46 in the last 2 of the last 3, but I definitely think he's a really good one to pick given he's a 63 point scorer across the season, and he has those boom 70 and 80 games in there, obviously mixed in with the 46 and 48. And as we said with Trbojevic, he's a little bit safer, Hopgood, obviously for minutes and the like, especially if Cartwright's out as well, but has that boom potential. If you get a 48 from him, you're not too upset. Adam Fanua-Blake averaging 59.7 to start with an 81 and a 54. Hopefully the minutes for him are a little bit up. He did cop a little bit of a niggle last week, so hopefully that he's obviously fine, but that's probably where the risk lies with him, is that he copped that bit of a ribs issue or whatever it was last week. So yeah, lower minutes, hopefully he's fine. If you want to captain him, there's a little bit of a risk there for sure, but should be good. Another boom or bust potential player, obviously Latrell Mitchell, got 81 in round 1 against the Eagles, who are doing really well. Comes up against the Dogs this week, who are playing a little bit better, but if the Bunnies win this game, do expect Latrell to play really well and get sort of anywhere from 50 to 80 or 90. He obviously has this lower score and not a 24. I'm expecting maybe like a 30 odd to 40 in this game as his low, and then he can go all the way up to an 80 or 90. And then the last one, guys, I got Isaac Tungo in there at 734. He's obviously been crushing it, but he doesn't have Cleary next to him in this week, and that's probably the big risk there. So good scores against the Eels, 86, and Broncos, 66. Comes up against a tough Roosters side. He seems very risky to me, but could obviously come out and score some tries and do really good things. So that's the captaincy one, guys. Just wanted to talk about the captaincy roulette, what you need to look at in your trades, obviously, as well. We'll get into the buy, hold, risk, it sells. Scoop will be on tomorrow morning. We'll get into all of that in terms of players to buy this week, but I just wanted to get in and get ahead of the game. As you're thinking about your captaincy, as you're thinking about your trades for the week, make sure you set things up well enough that you have a solid captaincy option in the next few weeks at least. Someone that can get you closer to the 60 mark on a safety basis, or you're going for the boom or bust potential, bust being like a 40, and it sets you up for the next few weeks. So thanks for listening to this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in those next few videos today.